Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you guys. Today in this one we are going to be looking at more games from my practice sessions with Prank-Kids. So these games, these replays that we're going to watch here are still very much from the phases of me learning the deck, although now I would say I'm at a point where I'm more comfortable with playing the deck in general, with comboing with it. I don't know if I'm quite at making combo guide level familiarity with the deck yet, but I'm definitely getting there. Probably will be sooner rather than later. Honestly, probably by the time that this video is going out, I'm near or have probably already have recorded that aforementioned guide. If you would like to see that, let me know in the comments below. I still haven't, actually, at the time of recording this, I haven't even put out my first Prank-Kids video just yet, so hopefully the reaction to me playing this deck is good, because I plan on playing a lot of it. I really, really like this deck. It's not going to be the new Trizu where it's the vast majority of what I play on the channel, but it is definitely going to be in the main rotation, so to speak, of decks that I like to play here. So I have nothing but awesome things to say about this deck. It's fun, it's cool, it feels a lot like Trizu, which I think is a lot of why I like it. And again, it's funny because at the time the first video goes out, YCS Charlotte has already happened, but when I recorded that first video, when I first built Prank-Kids, the YCS it was about to begin, but it hadn't begun just yet. And that, at the time, there was still a lot of chatter about the, Brave Adamantipator Prank-Kids deck, so that was one of the reasons. It was a minor reason, mind you, because those cards aren't going to come out for a long time, but it was a minor reason I decided to go into this deck, was because it had a bit of future-proofing, and that I knew that with future support, this deck was still going to be good and really only get better. And then it, of course, had a massive showing at the YCS, so that is making me feel very, I guess, secured about my decision to craft the Prank-Kid decks, the Prank-Kids deck here, rather. So, yep, I'm still running the same list here with the two Rocksies and the Harpie Feather Duster from the last video I posted. Extra deck is still the same. Haven't crafted the second Battle Butler or Ripborn Roaster yet. At this point, I'm pretty confident that I will want to try them, at least try them out at some point in the future. I don't really know when that is just yet, but this build, I haven't really felt the need to include them. There have been some times where I've been okay, it would be nice if I had a second Battle Butler for my own, just what's the word I'm looking for? Not security, but, well, maybe security, yeah, just to make sure that I had the option to go into it. But really, it's not that hard to recycle Battle Butler, honestly, mostly with Prank-Kids Pranks, but there was also a situation, we'll probably even see it in a replay, I think, here, where I used Dodo Do's effect to actually put Battle Butler back into my extra deck and then fusion summon into it that same turn. So it's easy enough, I think, to recycle your Battle Butler that it's definitely not needed to have two, but I'm definitely also seeing where having two would be nice as well. So that still might happen, it might not, I haven't quite decided just yet. Same with the Ripborn Roaster. Obviously, see, the thing is, it's good to get stuff like Eldlich, which is seeing an increase in play right now, but really only if you make it going first into Eldlich. And in Master Duel Best of 1 format, there's no way to know going into turn 1 whether or not you should make a Ripborn Roaster necessarily. So, okay, let's go ahead and look at the deck list here. We've got 3 Prank-Kids Fansies, 3 Maxx, 3 Prank-Kids Dropsies, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 Prank-Kids Lampsies, 2 Prank-Kids Rocksies, and 2 Nibiru the Primal Being. For monsters, spells, we have Harpie's Feather Duster, Monster Reborn, Terraforming, Instant Fusion, Thunder Dragon Fusion, 3 Prank-Kids Place, 1 Prank-Kids Pranks. I always get those names mixed up, that's why I just call this card Prank-Topless, which is why I named this deck as well. So we've got 3 Prank-Topless, 1 Prank-Kids Pranks, 2 Call by the Grave, 2 Prank-Kids Pandemonium, 3 Crossout Designator, 2 Forbidden Droplet, and 3 Infinite Impermanence. Down here in the extra deck, we have 1 Prank-Kids Rocket Ride, 1 Prank-Kids Weather Washer, 1 Prank-Kids Battle Butler, 1 Toadally Awesome, 3 Prank-Kids Meow Meow Moo, 1 Knightmare Phoenix, 3 Prank-Kids Dodo, 1 Prank-Kids Bow Wow Bark, 1 Predaplant Vert Anaconda, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and then, of course, Access Code Talker. Alright, yeah, let's go ahead and now take a look at some gameplay that I have from this deck. Now, again, I do have to kind of say more for my own benefit than anything else. These are from my practice sessions. I'm sure there's not optimal play in here. as I was still very much learning the deck during these games. But that said, I don't feel like, don't feel like I'm discouraging you from pointing it out altogether. If you're an experienced Prank-Kids player and you can spot some better lines or deck choices I could be making for, combos maybe I might be missing out on, do let me know in the comments, because like I said, I am, increasing in my confidence in my ability to play this deck, but it's still like, I don't know, it's still in a lot of ways is a very new beast to me, so I would appreciate any feedback that you'd be willing to give. Okay, let's look at some gameplay. Alright, this first game is going to be a doozy. I didn't even really mention the profile, but it's probably going to be the namesake of this video. This is going to be our game against Eldlich, our 15-turn game against Eldlich. So we're going to start with the first turn here. We open with Prank-Kids Fansies, so I'm going to begin by going into Meow Meow Moo using Fansies there. With Fansies effect, I'll send Pandemonium to the graveyard before summoning Lampsies. We're then going to link those into Dodo Doodle Doo. This is the fairly standard, one card combo, quote-unquote, opening line here. I think with the Monster Reborn, you could do a bit more here, but that'd be more for going into a large link play. Like, if you want to go into Reborn Roaster turn 1, I think you would just use Monster Reborn for that, but I kind of want to save it either way, honestly. But unless there's a line I'm just missing that would be a better version of what I do, but I don't think there is with my extra deck. So in any case, yep, we're going to use the Dodo Doodle Doo, get back the Pandemonium and the Fansies, and use Pranks to discard the Fansies, make a token, link the Dropsies and the token into our second Dodo Doodle Doo. That'll get a Rocksies from our deck with the Dropsies there. We'll then link those into Bow Wow Bark. Use Rocksies to put Fansies out in defense mode, then we'll set the Prank-Kids Pandemonium as well as the Imperm, and that will set up our Battle Butler going into our opponent's turn. And of course we drew the second Ash after we discarded the Nibiru, or banished the Nibiru rather, and of course with Prank-Kids Pranks we get an extra draw there as well, so I really like Pranks. I've kind of thought about putting a second one in the deck. It's not necessary, but I don't know, sometimes, well, here's the thing though, even if this gets destroyed, you can just use Dodo Doodle Doo to get it back. That's the cool thing about Prank-Kids, is they have an insane amount of just recursion. You just all their cards just feed into each other, recycling each other, so. Yeah, opponent's going to use Eldlich to, I think, target, what do they target with the Eldlich effect here? I think it was one of my monsters. Oh, it was my Bow Wow Bark, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and respond by getting the Battle Butler out, as well as, of course, my 3 Prank-Kids monsters from the 3 Prank-Kids effects there, too. We're going to get Fansies with Dropsies, because Fansies is a lot of defense, and then with the other 2, we're going to get out a pair of Dropsies, because we could potentially overlay into Toadally Awesome next turn. So, yeah, then my opponent throws out a Magical Meltdown, because, by the way, this is like an invoked Eldlich deck. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and negate the search so they don't do any more scary stuff here, but they'll just send the Magical Meltdown in order to bring the Eldlich back, which, I mean, they would have done either way, but yeah, a bit unfortunate that we can't destroy it with Battle Butler, and that it's also strong enough to run over Battle Butler, but we'll just go ahead and get Bow Wow Bark back with Battle Butler's effect. Opponent's going to drop 3 cards during the main phase 2. That's sufficiently scary. Then they're going to flip up Summon Limits and Skill Drain both. So now I'm playing under some very annoying floodgates here, and it's like, oh great, that's just what I needed. So here I am actually going to go into Access Code Talker, and the reason I'm going to go into Access Code Talker, even though there's Skill Drain out, is because you can actually banish Access Code Talker with its own effect and then pop Skill Drain. But my opponent, knowing this, actually uses their last back row of Solemn to destroy my my access code there. So yeah, we're going to be playing under these floodgates for a bit, but the cool thing about Prank-Kids is that because of their ability to have a lot of recursion, they can definitely play the long game against these kinds of stun decks, right? Like, we're going to have this Prank-Kids Pranks pretty much reload our entire Prank-Kids engine that we've already used by the end of this game. So, other nice thing here, too, is that by paying 1,000 for Skill Drain and then half for Solemn, my opponent's already down to 3,000, so even though I'm going to have a hard time running over this Eldlich, this chip burn with Lampsies, this little chip damage that we're doing here, is definitely not irrelevant. We'll once again put stuff back in draw with our Prank-Kids Pranks. Definitely want to leave this last spell trap slot open, just in case we need it to activate Monster Reborn or something similar. Opponent is accruing more back row as time goes on, though, which is definitely not ideal for me. At this point, I'm mainly just, trying to draw the Harpie's Feather Duster that's in my deck. I'll definitely set Maxx here because at the most I'd be able to get maybe one draw off of it anyway, so I would rather set that than Fansies because at the time Fansies was the only Prank Kid in my hand. Now that we have Rocksies, I'm fine setting either or to protect my life points here. Not that my life points really need protecting all that much, but I definitely want to prevent as much damage as possible while I still can. So yeah, I'm just going to keep setting Prank-Kids monsters and drawing with Prank-Kids pranks until I draw my Harpie's Feather Duster. It's a bit of a catch-22 though, because the Prank-Kids pranks is also loading the main deck back up in addition to drawing, so in a way it's not making it any... Well, it's not making it any less likely that I'm going to draw the Feather Duster, but statistically, I'm not really changing my odds of drawing the Feather Duster with each individual draw. But of course, by having more draws, we then are more likely to then draw the Feather Duster, which, duh, I don't think I needed to explain that. Sorry, I have a bit of a tendency to over-explain sometimes, but, okay, we do draw a Droplet here, which now I'm thinking to myself, okay, I can at the very least, like, have this Eldlich and run it over. Then maybe we can start getting somewhere, but no, opponent's got another Solemn. Opponent's got another Solemn. Although, actually, that's totally fine with me, because they're actually paying more life points to the Solemn than I think damage I would have inflicted anyway, because I would have the Eldlich, put it down to 20 or 1250 attack, and then I would have, summoned a Lampsies and run over it and done 250 damage. So yeah, my opponent took an extra 1,000 damage there by activating the Solemn, so that Solemn I don't think was correct at all. Yep, I'll lower the attack of the Eldlich here by summoning Meow Meow Moo to further lessen the damage I take, and of course we do another chip burn of 500 damage with Lampsies. So at this point, now my out isn't even really Harpie's Feather Duster anymore. Of course, if I draw that, that would still be really nice, but at this point I'm thinking to myself, okay, I don't even need to draw Harpie's Feather Duster, I just need to activate Lampsies effect 2 more times. Like, it doesn't even have to summon a monster. As long as I do the 500 burn like 2 more times, I can win this duel. And I'm looking at my hand and I'm like, this is definitely doable with this hand, so I'm gonna Monster Reborn the Lampsies here. I probably should have first, activated the Prank-Kids place and searched the Lampsies before doing this line, but I'm gonna go ahead and chain to the Conquistador with the Prank-Kids Pandemonium. Obviously, I probably would have wanted to do this anyway, to be honest, because this Weather Washer is going to be better than, a Meow Meow Moo. But now, even though the Conquistador is going to come out and destroy a card, yep, the Weather Washer, I still get the Lampsies effect here, which is, like, the main thing I'm looking for. It's really the only thing I really care about at this point, so... Alright, cool. We got another 500 damage in. Just need one more round of burning in order to seal the game here. Of course, going to keep activating Prank-Kids Pranks, and then we actually drew a Lampsies, so that's going to pretty much seal it at this point. Opponent's actually going to flip summon their Ash Blossom and Synchro, of all things, into a Cyframe Lord, which I guess isn't too surprising. They're probably playing a Gamma in their deck, but yep, they'll battle with the Eldlich and then hit me directly with the Cyframe Lord. It's funny because Cyframe Lord Omega doesn't even stop me here because I have both Lampsies and Prank-Kids Pranks. I have 2 ways to get the Lampsies for the last 500 burn damage. So even the Omega, which in many scenarios would just be the good out here, isn't even the out. But of course, there's also Skill Drain out, so but I can't even activate it anyway. I actually totally forgot about the Skill Drain there for a moment while watching this replay. I'm going to activate the Prank-Kids place just to see if it, my opponent responds to the back row. I just want to bait it before I go into lethal here. I then summon the Lampsies. My opponent's going to flip another summon limit, which is not going to do anything, obviously, because they already have one out. We're going to link it to Meow Meow Moo, and then Lampsies will do the... Oh, and I even chain block the Lampsies for good measure with the place here. So, place resolves, and then, yep, boom, last 500. So... yeah, I think I really like this game as it's a great example of just the sheer tenacity that Prank-Kids can have with their recursion, with like Prank-Kids Pranks especially. We were able to like more or less out-advantage an Eldlich stun deck that had been dragging the game on, which not many combo decks can say they can do that. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the next game here. Alright, so this game is going to be against an Endymion Pendulum deck with the mystical beasts, all that fun stuff. So we get the first turn here, open with a couple of Maxx's, a couple of Lampsies, and an Imperm. So not an awful hand. Could be better, but definitely could be worse too. We can do a standard Prank-Kids line here. We'll start with the Lampsies, going to Meow Meow Moo, then of course going to Fansies, then linking the Meow Meow Moo and Fansies into Dodo Doodle Doo. We'll then chain block the Fansies with the Dodo Doodle Doo, in case Ash comes down, which it doesn't. I mean, I figured it probably would have against the Lampsies anyway, so... here I actually mess up a little bit. Normally I send Pandemonium and add pranks. It doesn't really matter too much. Although you would rather send the Pandemonium in the event of like a quick effect that might banish it, because we're only playing one copy of pranks, and if that gets banished, that's a really big deal. So ideally you'd add pranks and send Pandemonium, but it doesn't really matter, especially in this case. So all right, from there we're going to keep going into the second Dodo Doodle Doo with the token, and then we'll get the Rocksies linked into the Bow Wow Bark. Rocksies will get our Fansies out in defense mode. Then we'll, set the Pandemonium, set our Imperm, of course, as well, which will, of course, also set us up for a Battle Butler next turn. And yet again, withdrawing just another copy of the card with Rocksies. Banish a Maxi, get a Maxi, but could be worse. Could definitely be worse draws there. Alright, opponent's going to start with Servant of the Endymion, and then a Spell Power Mastery. Endymion's kind of like Infernoids for me, where it's one of those decks that scares me a little bit, just a little bit, because, I don't play against them too much, and it's like, I feel like it takes one game of a rogue deck like this doing something really scary to you, for you to, like, forever have that one game instilled in your brain, and I definitely had an Endymion game where they just, like, I didn't know really at all what the archetype did, and they just completely wrecked me, and so, like, ever since then, I'm now, like, always extra cautious against the deck, I feel like, but, yeah, we'll go ahead and respond to the Master of Endymion's effect with the Battle Butler. Basically, as soon as stuff is starting to, as soon as it seems, rather, that things are going to appear on the board, we want to set up our Battle Butler to be able to take them off of the board. Also, we threw out our Maxi there as soon as our opponent set up the Pendulum Scale, just because, they can Pendulum Summon. Obviously, at any moment they have the Scale set up, so usually against Pendulum decks, as soon as they set their Scale, even if I think they're going to use an effect that removes one of their Scales, I just immediately throw out the Maxi, just in case they go straight into a Pendulum Summon, so... And of course, as always, in addition to our Battle Butler, we get our 3 Prank-Kids, although I misclicked with the Fansies and accidentally sent one of the Dropsies from deck to grave instead of summoning 2 Dropsies, so I had to summon a Rocksies instead, but not a huge deal, but yeah, I definitely, ideally would have liked to have 2 Dropsies out to potentially go into Toadally Awesome next turn. I keep calling it Treat Toad. I have no idea why that one card, and not one, I think there's a couple others I might do it with too, but that one card I always call with the OCG name, even though it's been out forever in the TCG for some reason. But yeah, opponent's going to Endymion here, but of course our Prank-Kids cannot be destroyed by card effects, so that's really nice there. And we still have the Maxi up, so our opponent is going to be summoning a whole lot, but we are at least going to be able to get a whole lot of draws off of it. And yeah, at this point I figured, okay, there's enough spell counters on the board. I'm just going to go ahead and wipe the board with Battle Butler. Opponent's going to respond and try to negate with their Jackal King, but thankfully, like Zeus, Battle Butler can activate multiple times on the same chain, so I'll distribute the Battle Butler and wipe their board. I was a little bit weary of doing it at this point because not only would this Master Cerberus not be destroyed, but yeah, they still haven't Pendulum summoned yet, so I knew they were still going to be able to do that. Fortunately, they're not able to do too scary of a Pendulum Summon here. Just the Endymion and a dead Cypher Engraver they had in hand, so... Yep, they then link into Heavy Foe's Electromite. And at this point, I've got the Nibirus as well, so it's like, I'm really not too scared at all of really anything my opponent could throw at me here. And so at this point, yeah, my opponent banishes one of the Prank-Kids, which is fine, not that big of a deal. Opponent's going to add the Astrograph Sorcerer. And then they'll try to use the Astrograph Sorcerer's effect, but, oh no, sorry, that must have been I thought I ashed it. I guess that was a different game against Pendulums. Okay, whatever. I could just be misremembering it as well, but, oh, by the way, I recently learned about this. If your hand gets, like, far later than I should have, but... Oh, here's the Ash, okay. Yeah, far later than I should have, but you can actually, if your hand gets too big, you can actually, like, hold you can click and hold, and you can just drag it like this. So yeah, definitely good to know. I found that out from like a Reddit post, I think. Oh, here we go. Here's where I ashed the Astrograph Sorcerer. I knew I ashed it at some point. That's why I was confused earlier. I was like, I didn't think I played against, you know, a Pendulum Magicians twice recently, where I had a situation where I was faced against the Astrograph Sorcerer. So, all right, opponent's going to keep Link climbing up into access code Talker. But remember, our prank kids actually can't be destroyed by card effects right now, so fortunately our opponent did not remember that. They're going to go ahead and try to activate access code here, only to fail to destroy my monster. And then they realize at this point that, you know, I've got 2 monsters they have to battle through. I've got 10,000 life points, and I've got, like, over... Wait, actually, how many? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Ha! I did have over a dozen cards in my hand. I thought I maybe quick counted that right, but... yeah, so I had over a dozen cards in hand. They couldn't kill me this turn. It's pretty obvious I was just going to come back and win. So, yep, they just go ahead and get the concede there. So, all right, let's look at the next one. All right, so this game is going to be against Cyber Dragons, which I haven't played against in quite a while, actually. And I don't know if my opponent chose to take the first turn here. I don't remember, because I definitely wouldn't have opted to go second, you know, if I'd won the coin flip. So... maybe they forgot they'd switched over to the Cyber Dragon deck, or thought they were playing a different deck or something, but yeah, opponent's just going to take the first turn and pass, which is definitely fine with me. We're going to activate Rocksies here, banishing the Maxx as we go into Meow Meow Moo. Of course, going into Fansies next to set up our graveyard. Yep, we'll go into Dodo Do, activate Fansies effect and Dodo Do's effects, chain blocking appropriately as always in order to make sure that our prank kids don't get ash. But, you know, I have the call by, and also I figure they probably would have tried to ash already if they'd had it in hand. So at this point, we're going to activate Prank-Kids Pranks. Oh, I think this game actually, if I remember right, like I just straight up, like, you know, they weren't getting a prompt to respond at all during any of this. So at this point, I knew, okay, they don't have ash, they don't have Maxx. I can just go ahead and just start playing into my damage play here. So this is a good going second play that you can go into. You can kind of divert the main one-card combo line into an access code talker line by following the steps there. I'll go over this in detail when I do my combo guide, but yep, I'll go for access code. I'll battle for a lot of damage, and this might look weird that I'm leaking away access code talker into a Vert Anaconda, but having the Battle Butler established for my opponent's turn is definitely more important than having an access code talker out. So that might, I know, that looks and probably would feel really weird and wrong to do yourself, like to use access code talker as a material to go into a Link 2. But in this deck, it's often right to do so, to go into Vert Anaconda to set up a Battle Butler for your opponent's turn. Because it's easy to think like, oh, but I could destroy so many cards with the access code talker, but it's like, yeah, but your Battle Butler is definitely going to destroy a lot of cards as well. Probably more than, well, I don't know about probably, but likely more than your, what do you call it? Jesus, I just said the card's name. Then your access code would have destroyed, so. Opponent's going to get the core and get the core search, as well as activating machine dupe, so we're just going to throw out the Maxx in response. They then summon the 2 Cyber Dragons, which are going to overlay into Cyber Dragon Nova. I probably should have just activated Battle Butler when the Cyber Dragons were summoned, because I do have to admit, I always forget that Cyber Dragon Nova has this effect where summons a machine fusion monster if it's destroyed. So yeah, I think it definitely would have been right to just use Battle Butler when the 2 Cyber Dragons came out onto the board. But if nothing else, I guess it does give us more draws off Maxx, so... I'll go ahead and ash the Chimeritic Rampage Dragon here so that my opponent doesn't set up more graveyard effects. They'll Cyber Repair Plant anyway for the Cyber Dragon Nocter, I think? Yeah, Nocter. I don't know, it's German. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Yeah, we'll go and try to use Battle Butler's effect again here. Opponent's going to respond with Cyber Mode Fusion, which is actually totally fine with me. Because I was a little bit worried about them getting another fusion monster off of the Nova anyway. But now I know I can just destroy the monster that gets fusion summoned and they won't get Nova's effects. So yeah, opponent's going to bring back their Cyber Dragon with the Cyber Eternity Dragon they just summoned. Monster Reborn for another Cyber Dragon, go into I think another Nova here, and then finally into Infinity. But at this point, they don't have any other cards in hand or on board, so it's like... and I have a ton of cards in hand and board thanks to Maxx there. This is why I always say, like, this and the last game are great examples of why I always say, like, you gotta be really careful if you're gonna play into Maxx. Like, you really should only be playing this much into Maxi if you know you're going to win, like, this turn. No matter what your opponent could have the out to. Because you gotta figure, like, if they have this many cards, they could reasonably have any outs, so. Yep, I will lead with the Imperm here to turn off Infinity's Omni Negate. I'll even go ahead and throw in a Droplet just because I can here. We'll send the Imperm that's already being activated to negate the negate of my negate, but mostly to have the attack of Infinity. Alright, we'll then summon Lampsies and then go into a Prank-Kids line. So I've got the Pandemonium, or I've got, not the Pandemonium, I've got the Instant Fusion, the Monster Reborn, and I guess also to an extent the Pandemonium as well. So, I mean, my opponent's at 2,700 on top of that. I know I can end the game on this turn, but I do still have to be careful to play in a correct way to set myself up to be able to end the game on this turn. And one thing to note, normally I just climb into access code here, but I did already use it, and unfortunately, being not a Prank Kid card, access code is one of the few monsters that we're not able to recur with something like Prank-Kids Pranks. But this is the game that I mentioned in the profile, actually, where I used Dodo to put the Battle Butler back into my graveyard, so that I could then fuse for it later, or back into the extra deck from my graveyard, so. Alright, we'll use the Pranks to go into another Dodo here, mostly to set up the Rocksies. Obviously don't need this Harpie's Feather Duster, so we'll banish that. Then I'm going to throw in an Instant Fusion here, just to get another material on the board more than anything else. Actually, now that I remember right, I remember this combo I end up doing, I don't even end up needing the Weather Washer here at all. Like, it's seriously just going to sit here and do nothing. Well, I thought maybe I could have some extra attack points, but it's apparently been a long time since I've used an Instant Fusion, because I totally forgot the monster you summon off of it can't battle. It's not going to end up really mattering either way, but still, it could have, you know. Yep, and now I can fuse, now that I can Monster Reborn to the last piece I needed for Battle Butler. I can go ahead and fusion summon that one there. And we can even throw in the Prank-Kids Place effect to give all three of my monsters a nice little attack point boost on top of it, because why not? So yeah, we move into battle phase, and that's when I realized I couldn't attack with Washer, but again, it's no big deal. We'll just go ahead and finish our opponent with the Battle Butler itself. Yeah. Alright, let's go ahead and watch another game. Okay, so this game is actually against Altergeist, which I don't remember playing against at all, so they must have just, like, set a bunch of back row and not done much else here, because I like Altergeist a lot, so I feel like I definitely would have mentally, like, noted. Like, I would have remembered if I would have played against them, I feel like, but yeah, when I confirmed the opponent's deck before watching this replay, I was a bit surprised to see Altergeist here, so. As always, we're kind of just opening with a more or less standard one-card combo line here, which I've explained a bit in a few of the other games here, but our opponent's going to have Ash for the Dodo effect. This is why, though, we will always want to chain block, because, yeah, the Fansies could not get Ash here, so we can still bring out the Rocksies, or our next Prank Kid, and then even though the Dodo got negated, we can still keep comboing off. The Dodo getting negated is still going to throw a bit of a wrench in my plans, although not too bad of one, honestly, because we actually have this Thunder Dragon Fusion. So I'm going to try to set my graveyard up in such a way where I can just use this Thunder Dragon Fusion to set up our Battle Butler instead of the Pandemonium play that we would have set up with the Dodo search. And indeed, we're able to shuffle all three materials back from graveyard. It's always really nice when you can do that and you don't have to use something from the field. And we even get a little attack boost on top of it for good measure. So always throwing down Imperm in the middle zone in case my opponent, uses a monster and then haphazardly kind of later after I negate it throws something in here. That's right. So this was the game that Extravagance and then just set a bunch of cards. So I guess this build's using a skill drain, which makes sense because if you have Protocol out, then your Altergeist still aren't negated. I'm still not sure if I would play skill drain in my Altergeist deck, but it's definitely not a bad choice. So here I'm just going to overlay into Knightmare Phoenix, not even like to do the effects, but just to get enough damage for a game. Like, I was like, I'll just see if I can do enough damage for a game right now, and then if I can't, then I'll just go into Access Code Talker during main phase 2, and then, again, like I mentioned earlier, banish itself to pop the skill drain. But nope, opponent just didn't have anything else that would end up being lethal, so that did it for them. Okay, we've got one more game to look at. Let's go right into it. Okay, final match of this video here is going to be against a 60 card Phantom Knight deck. Good old 60 card Phantom Knights. Phantom Knights, I think I've mentioned this a couple of times before though, they do pique my interest a little bit. Because I have experience playing Phantom, like not this, format's iteration of Phantom Knights, but yeah, I know I've mentioned this before, but my last IRL event for Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a regional in 2017 where I borrowed friend's PK Fire, which was Phantom Knight Burning Abyss deck, and I did okay with it. I didn't top. I think I went X2. No, I went X3. I remember now. But I still had fun with it. I liked ranking up into Dark Requiem Exceeds Dragon. That card is super duper good. And yeah, if I ever build Phantom Knights, I'd want to have the option to go into Dark Requiem. Maybe even to try out before / if Rongo gets banned, but yeah, definitely if Rongo gets banned, it'd be nice to have the option to then just, take out the Gossip Shadow and Rongo and then just slot in Dark Rebellion and Dark Requiem into the extra deck there, so. Yeah, sorry, I didn't really talk about the combo itself here, but it's just, more standard opening Prank-Kids stuff. Link climbing, not even link climbing, but just like link hopping until we are at a place where we set up a battle butler for our next turn. And indeed, we have done just that. I'll even throw down the Crossout Designator as well for good measure. And we drew a Nibiru, and we have an Ash in hand, so all in all, we are looking pretty good here. Opponent's going to use Dangerous Sukanoko, that's fine with me. It reveals itself, which out of a full hand is pretty unlucky, because otherwise they would have gotten a draw card in addition to the special summon, but once the Torn Scales comes out, I just decided to go ahead and pull the trigger and summon the Battle Butler, although I don't think I actually used the effect here. I debated if I wanted to. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't remember if I used the effect here or not. Let's see. Well, of course, obviously I have to use all the Prank-Kids effects to summon more Prank-Kids before I get a chance to activate Battle Butler, so. Okay, it looks like I did not use the Battle Butler here. That's totally fine. And since I already have another Dropsies in hand, I'll just set up a Lampsies or Rocksies, whatever. Just another random Prank-Kid. Alright, here they go into Cherubini. And then from there they get the Calcab effect too. And now they can link climb up to link 3 to some of the Rusty Bardish, which I know is the deck's most important central piece that also I know does not have any quick effects. So I am definitely going to respond with Battle Butler in order to destroy the Rusty Bardish here. Now, my opponent chains Droplet, and at first I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I set this Crossout Designator, because now I can just banish my Droplet from deck and negate theirs, but they did actually discard another Crossout Designator, or rather, their Crossout Designator, so they discarded a spell, which means I couldn't respond with Crossout Designator, so I did have to chain with Battle Butler's effect, which is not, like, super ideal, but, at the very least, we're still able to destroy the Rusty Bardish before it was able to do anything, which is the most important part. And yep, that is enough to get my opponent to concede there. As I said, Rusty Bardish being the key piece of that deck, being able to destroy it without having it get its effect off. Very, very nice. Alright, let's go ahead and move over to the outro. Alright, everybody, thank you so much for watching this video and supporting my endeavors here at Prank-Topolis. Like I've said, like every video I've made so far for Prank-Kids, I am very, very rapidly falling for this deck. As you can tell by just how many Prank-Kids videos I've put out in such a short amount of time since I built the deck. Like, because normally, like, when I'm playing a new deck and trying it out, I like to keep my practice, games, like, oh, I'll just keep those kind of to myself, even if I have some good games, because I'm just learning the deck, but, like, there's something about Prank-Kids that makes me not only want to play it a lot, but also, like, share it with the world a lot. So, like, I'm so eager just to show off, like, literally every single game I play with this deck. It's just so much fun. I love this archetype. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, if you are an experienced Prank-Kids player and you have any tips, combos, deck suggestions, do let me know in the comments. I am very eager to hear from you about that. But I'm really eager to hear from anybody in the comments, so that's why I super appreciate it if you are commenting, and especially if you're subscribing as well. But honestly, just watching, especially at the end of the video like this, is more than enough for me. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I greatly appreciate you. But without further ado, that's going to do it for today's video. This is Xlex, signing out. I hope you guys have a fantastic day.